Hi, and welcome to Dinim number 15. I am your host, as always, Rabbi David Katz. After a brief introduction, we asked Rabbi Katz of last year to help us out. We went to the recording. We found out where we left off, and that was we were backwards to understand. We left off with Tosfos and Krisis 9a. So I'm just going to jump right into the discussion. If you're listening to this and you're confused, it's because you didn't listen to last week. So stop the recording once it's up on YouTube and go listen to last week's class and then start this one. And we wanted to find out how did we get on this tangent of Yavamas 48b, which led us to Krisis 9a, and it was the Rashi, and it's Rashi Shita, and it's the famous Rashi Shita that we're talking about from Rav Hutner, based on Beitza 16a. We're just going to refer to Beitza 16a. Again, if you don't know what Beitza 16a is, listen to last week's recording. Now, in my head, I had a whole bunch of stuff thought out. I got to reclaim that consciousness as we talk live now. Let me just take a minute here to think about where I wanted to go. I had a whole vision of this last week. Hold on one second. I don't remember exactly. I had like a whole huge vision. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I got the human potential thing. I'm seeing it. Maybe it's just kind of consolidated in mind. Maybe it's still there, but it's simpler now. Let me just think. I had a big vision. I gotta remember what that vision was. Hold on. I had to do a Shabbat, right? Shabbat. Okay, I'm starting to feel it now. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. And I'm actually missing a Rambam. That's why I'm missing this. All right. Hold on. It's coming back. What was that thing again? Hold on. I'm working this Rambam on my brain. Just meditate on life for a second here. Okay, I got it. Okay. Now it's a matter of question is what text am I going to start with? All right, we ended with Krisis 9a, Shabbos Goy, human potential. The goal is to not have Shabbos Goy. Sleeping Neshama. Yeah, that's where we're at. Now I got to think of how I'm going to launch this. Now we're going to launch this. We ended there. We got Rav Hutner to deal with. And then we have, who's this? That's Beitza. That's going to be dealt with. And that's the Geert Tzedek stuff. This will actually go over here. And that, why do I include this with this? 1 second. Okay. Well, Isaiah, I have no idea why I have Isaiah here. That I can't figure out. All right. So let's start with Rav Hutner, and then go to Beitza, and then Rambam, and then Tosfos. Okay? All right. All right, this is officially now the beginning. Now we're ready to start. Ready? Just to give a refresher of why we're doing this. We're doing it because as I look around my office from time to time, I have a very nice office with a lot of svarim, and there's a lot of great rabbinic scholarship in here that I don't always look at. It just, it's like, imagine if you have a recipe that you like to cook, but you just don't make it a lot. You guys give me a 1 or 2 on that? Just a certain food that you like, but you just don't eat a lot for whatever reason. It just doesn't get airtime. But if you take a break from life and smell the roses, you say, hey, I haven't had that in a while. Let's have some of that. For me, it's like ice cream. I'm not a big fan of ice cream, but when I need it, like every 6 months, it's like, hey, I haven't had ice cream in 6 months. Let's go get 20 billion gallons of Ben & Jerry's. Right? You guys ready to do that? Not literally 20 billion, but you know what I'm saying? You realize it's been a while. So for me in Torah, there's 2 books in particular that I love that I just never learn. And that's Rav Hutner in his work called Pachad Yitzchak. And I have a really interesting commentary on the Torah put together from the commentaries of Tosfos. It's a really amazing work that somebody did, compiling it. And I just never think to look at it. I just don't. It's like out of the box, an alternative, but it's fantastic. You all know who Tosfos is, medieval commentators to the Talmud, in the margin of the Talmud from last week, comparing and contrasting with Rashi. Rav Hutner was one of the greatest rabbis of the 20th century. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of Chaim Berlin. You can look him up on Wikipedia. I encourage you to do so. Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner. H-U-T is in Tom, N is in Nancy, E-R. He was my Rosh Yeshiva's Rosh Yeshiva. Also, my Rosh Yeshiva learned with Rav Hutner. And he was a major, major, major rabbi. How many of you guys ever heard of the Lubavitcher Rebbe? Type 1. How many of you have ever heard of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein? Give me a 1 or 2 on that one. So those guys were all big in New York. They all died around the 80s and 90s. So another one of the big guns was Rabbi Hutner. He was on that level. And he was more into the Maral of Prague, which is considered Jewish philosophy or Jewish machshava, Jewish thought. And the Rebbe was obviously in the Chabad, that goes without saying. Rav Moshe was into halacha and Talmud, it goes without saying. And Rav Hutner was he was your Dennis Rodman if you're going to compare it that way. He was into thought and thinking, philosophy. He learned a little bit of the Tanya. He was, a broad, open-minded thinker. He was a thinker. He wasn't known for halacha or of a Hasidic group, but you understand there's different flavors, and he held his own, and he was apparently very close friends with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So I was looking around, and I know he has Ger stuff, and I've looked it up before, but the more I grow with Ger alongside you guys, you have to update your files, and you learn that there's different words for Ger, like Nilva, Ger Toshav, Ger your gate. So when I may have done a search on my search engine a year ago, 2 years ago, I might not have searched it correctly. Let's say I searched for Ger in Rav Hutner, but I didn't search for Gerin. So it just means that there's more gems to unearth, right? Where we have not exhausted the field because there's so many terminologies for Ger and discussions of Ger and all the related Ger sugiyas, which go into Akum Halacha. You understand? The Noahide laws, it's massive. It's the biggest chutzpah and offensive thing I find is when people say, the Noahide law is there. It's not enough for me. I have to convert to Judaism. It's not enough for me. Really? The entire Torah is not enough for you. I'm sure you have a big appetite. Yes, you're clear. Because Ger Noahide law is so big and so deep and so geschmack meaning tasty in Torah terms, it's incredible. I'm sure all of you have thought that the search would end by now, right? We're on this now for 5 years, and to pull what do you call that? I forget the linguistic term you call that. When something is like bombastic or far fetched, like a Donald Trump card, we're not even scratching the surface of the content and sources that have been dug up. I mean, we're just starting. I mean, I literally have not revealed to the public even a fraction. I mean, it doesn't change anything, given the bigger things, but there's just tons and tons and tons and tons of material. The Midrash Rabbah and Parshas Naso. Just looking around my office, there's a whole parsha for Ger in the Midrash Rabbah. Again, Midrash Rabbah, Parshas Naso. You look in the Midrash Yalkut Shimoni. There's tons of stuff in there if you do a proper search. All through the prophets. Just looking around my office, right? Through Kabbalistic works, Talmudic works, Halachic works, the Zohar, Gilgulim things. I mean, it's tons. It's everywhere. And the more you grow with your language skills, the more we can bring these things out. Again, it doesn't change anything. It's not going to be like, win the argument, so to speak, or it's just awesome. It's just awesome. It's like anything that you get involved in that you love in life, and you have a taste of it, there's a whole world behind that taste. So people that are skeptical, is Ger satisfying enough? Maybe I should convert. My honest opinion, unless you need to be Jewish, there's enough Ger content, just relevant Torah for the non-Jew. If you want to express it that way, you don't have to express it that way, but it's immense. More than probably any other genre of Torah. It's huge. More than a lifetime. And then from there, the whole Torah comes into like a vacuum. It's incredible. So, again, I expand my searches, expand my content. You guys expand your comprehension level in the language issues and knowledge issues, and we're growing. And I think everyone is seeing the growth. Was that a 1 or 2? All right, so now let's read what I found in Rav Hutner, which was the basis of this new leg of the journey. Find my place. Find my place. We're not going to start with that one. That's not the right one to start with. And this is a good one to start with, I think. All right, so he's saying here to look at so that's why I did that. So that's 99. This is Mimer. I'm not sure where this is. I printed out the pages. I have the books here, but I printed them out. So, in any case, it's Rav Hutner in Pachad Yitzchak. All right, so it's 99, 100. He says, look at Yevamos 48b, type 1, and where it talks about Ger Toshav. And it's Rashi. Everyone remember Rashi 48b? That Rashi explains the definition through the Iker. And what is Rashi's definition of the Iker? He accepted on himself not to serve idols, and breaking Shabbos is like serving idols. Right? Remember what we're calling that? Rashi's Shita. Everyone say that in your own spot. Rashi's Shita. Shita means his view. And explain explicitly that Machalo Shabbos, Machalo means desecrate, means that you're basically acting like an idolater. Aim is a shum hevdel. Bein Machalo b'farhesi and Machalo b'tzniya. I don't care if you broke it in private or in public. The Imlo Cain, Wait, you know what? I read the wrong one. It doesn't. Wish I wouldn't have read this one. We may keep going. It doesn't matter, but I wish I wouldn't have read it. It doesn't matter. Lo haya gir toisha musar. Yeah, if it's not so, lo haya gir toisha musar elo achil b'hefarhesia. Kevan sharashi toisha stamu lefi asvar dahavi ka'avod v'dezayra musar hu gam gir toisha gam achilu Shabbos b'tzniya ari meforish the gam achilu Shabbos b'tzniya havi ka'avod v'dezayra. He's saying again, he's reinforcing that you can you have to keep Shabbos both ways. We're not drawing a halakhic conclusion here. Keep that in mind. And the dvarim oilim bad v'dad im mash and as far as shlan of a maimer dala the ikar husfa shavar hesget v'chil Shabbos rag was at the havi kachisha leida slash leida. Okay, yeah, read the wrong one. Point being, when Rashi is saying a shita, it means both in public and in private. That one is to keep Shabbos, whatever that means, and we know what that means. And Rav Hutner is going to say what that means. It means as prescribed by Krisis 9. Now again, Rav Hutner, now it makes more sense. I'm on my page. Again, I printed these pages out. That's why it's a bit confusing. Now we're on Mimer 27. And again, I'm not sure which particular book in Rav Hutner. Again, why? Because I printed them out. I have the set here, and I can find it if anybody needs to know exactly in which book it is. So he's going to say, B'das Rashi, near the Lashita so as of Yavas 48b. He says, remember our friend Rashi in Yavas 48b? Okay, I remember him too. And that position of Rashi is quoting our verse in Parshas Mishpatim. I always forget that verse every single time. It's the one verse I don't remember Balpeh. Why? I don't know. Let's see if I can remember. I think it's 20. Let's see if I can remember. Ready? 23:12. Let's see if I get it. Did I get it? Oh, I did remember it. How do you like that? So it's Mishpatim 23:12. 6 days shall you accomplish your activities. On the seventh day you shall desist, so that your ox and donkey may be content, and your maid servant's son and the ger may be refreshed. Vayinefash. Right? Most people say that's a ger toshav, whatever ger toshav is. The Ramban, Nancy, says it's a ger tzedek, whatever ger tzedek is. And by the Ten Commandments, they both oscillate. Rashi then says ger tzedek, and Ramban Nancy says ger toshav, whatever they are, which we'll get into as time progresses. But whatever it's worth, Rashi is speaking to us from 48b, and the Gemara there is exchanging ideas from the Ten Commandments, ger, rest of your ger and your gate, and the ger of Parshas Mishpatim that I just read. The overall question is, why does the Torah say twice this verse about resting your maidservant, your donkey, your ox, and the ger, either the ger or the ger in your gate? So it's mentioned twice, and that's like one of the basic understandings of ger in relationship to Shabbat. Rashi explains ger toishiv, that he accepts on himself not to serve idols, and he eats the vela. And the verse obligates him to keep Shabbos so as to not pervert Sabbath like an idolater. Type 1. These stories don't change. These are views in the Talmud. They're never going to change. So there's no such thing as I don't understand. Yes, you do. It's the same stories over and over and over again. What changes is what changes, there's a bit of a machlekes achronim going up the stairs over DVD issues. pardon me. What changes is how we view these non-changeable sources. Right? We're never going to re-understand Rashi on 40b. What we're going to do is we're going to bring it into a discussion in a way we might not have done before. And that's called learning here. Taisvis asks a question. If so, Nafishi Lahot Fei, he's quoting the Tosfos. Everyone type 1 for me, please. The whole Rashi Tosfos comparison. Right? And if you don't type 1 or you don't want to type 1, refer to last week's class. Posted on YouTube. And it's clear that the Shita of Rashi is like the Das of those, Ravusa, the Sphere, Lahu, the Gertoishavino, Starman. This is what I want to say. Isn't it weird that Rashi says a non-Jew can keep Shabbos? Isn't that weird, type 1? Isn't that weird, type 1? Yeah, it's weird. And this is what makes people think that it's very weird. It's very, very weird. So that's what Rav Hutner is going to ask. It's weird. And isn't Beitza weird as well? Where we assume Rashi got this idea from? Isn't that weird? We're told that a goy that keeps Shabbos is chayiv misa. And now all of a sudden we're being told that these non-Jews, goy, Gentile, whatever you want to call them, nachri, this and that, should be keep Shabbos. You can even say the entire Ger fight is predicated on Shabbos. And you can even, if you want to add a little nugget to that, Torah and Shabbos. Is that a fair statement? As long as you're doing your 7, go to heaven, we can call you Mickey Mouse. It doesn't really matter. Just do your 7, go to heaven. Once you bring in Shabbos and Torah, now it's where people get fundamental out of nowhere, right? So the answer, Rav Hutner is going to give you the answer. It is clear that the Shita of Rashi, he says, is based on those rabbis that contend that a ger toishiv, pay attention, right? Everybody give me a bunch of ones that you're paying attention. This is a Kodak moment coming up. Ready? Our Kodak moment. A ger, it's too bad James Gosnell's not here to hear this. A ger toshav is not a stam ben Noah that keeps 7 laws. Rather, ger toshav is an additional halacha that it is possible for a ben Noach to ger himself, sheyit gayer, to the inyan that he is obligated in the 7 laws like Israel. What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that? So now, the Noahide, he does not do idolatry, type 1. He is very happy to say, yes, Rabbi, I gave up Jesus 5 years ago. Baruch Hashem, right? The Ger Toshav takes his right in the Torah. There's a halacha for him. The Torah comes equipped with a halacha for a we call him a goy, right? Let's just speak derogatory here, right? This goy, and he's a Noahide, has the right to say, Rabbi, I who have given up Jesus, and I do 7 laws, but I wish to give up not only Jesus, but idolatry like you yourself, a Jew, does. I want to be really stark on not doing Avodah Zarah. And I'm not called a Ben Noach, in English, a Noahide. I have the right to be called a Ger Toshav. And we're going to find out now, how does a Ger Toshav not doing Avodah Zarah like Israel? What does that look like for him? since that in Israel, not this country, but the nation, there's an additional halacha that one who violates Shabbos is like an akum. So a ger toshav must keep Shabbos, but like Krisus 9a, we're going to say, but he's got to keep Shabbos because he cannot do avodah zorah as he received on himself like Israel on that thing. Yes, this is Rav Hutner answering this. And this is not just Rav Hutner. This is a copy and paste. This is the answer. So remember our famous grease on the Rambam? There's halachas for Noahides, and there's halachas for Ger Toshav. So when our good friend Alan Cecil, who we're going to quote his thing, that's why I brought the Bava Metzia over, when he says all Gentiles are the same and we Noahides have to overthrow the American government because that's what our Noahides do, no, Alan, they don't. Well, a Noahide can, but all non-Cohen Levi Israelite peoples of the world have the right and merit to reject avodah zorah like any member of proper Judaism, like Judaism, and thereby are mandated to observe the Sabbath. And again, we're going to qualify that at every junction with as mandated by Krisus 9a. And it's considered kat Yisrael. Just as a Jew keeps Shabbos like a Jew in order to not be an idolater, a non-Jew can not only reject avodah zorah, but can reject avodah zorah on the level of Israel, and thereby keep Shabbos Krisus 9a. He is now called a ger toshav. He is not called a ben Noach. As we said, a ger toshav is not a stam ben Noach, keeps the 7 laws. Is that not crystal clear? Is that not, I mean, seriously, is that not crystal clear? This is why I get a little upset when people make sweeping statements like, we Noahides, or all non-Jews. Like, really? There's such a thing? I never heard of that. Even all of us Jews. What Jews? I'm not Jewish. I am a Kohen. It's a completely different thing. It's a different mazel. I get a first aliyah every time. You know, I get a certain. It's like saying all us guys in the room. Well, not all of us are guys. There's another species of human called female. They're not the same. Even though we say, hey, guys, come over here. Hey, what are you guys doing? They're not literally guys. And what women are trying to say is stop thinking that we're guys. We're not guys. And you see there's a bit of bigotry because guys don't assume themselves as gals. I never heard a bunch of guys say, hey, girls, come over here. Hey, gals. Never heard that happen. The Chiddush zeh the ger toshav shemischayiv b'Shabbos mitzad Yisrael v'Yisrael l'ofina v'hemes mikra the vayina fash v'nosem v'ger shidduch Rashi. The proof text is Mishpatim 23:12. Lefi zeh atzin shaper v'Rashi v'beitza sheperish mukar the nachrim na'anshu al shalos chayiv v'Shabbos al yidei kavasa the Feel im hayu akavu leya kol atayra gam uvad Mr. Shabbos hayu was hard Shabbos mizada what is over. He quotes the source of Rashi in 48b Ivamus with Beitza 16a. Al kupanim kazina mekoshius hatalmid. The Lola Anshe Nachrim ala the Hach the Kama Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Shabbos Shani Mekola Teira Shenina Bitsna Akavana Hisha Filu Bishasha Vilikas Baragol Humalosh Gilo Doira Mekomakom Lo Aisha Shabbos Biklala Shilhazar Zai Im came Vada Shibizida Milas Taivish Yesh the Makam Aleno Stay Milas Ninahu. So the whole premise was that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Jewish people Shabbos in private. The Nachri wasn't in on the secret, but they know about Shabbos. And then we say they know about Shabbos, but they don't know about the Neshama Yisera, or they don't know about the reward of Shabbos. But the point is that, let's call it Bnei Yisrael, they were given Shabbos, the covenant of Shabbos, in private. And along with that gift, they were given Torah. Just the concept of Torah being given. Imagine a coin with two sides. It was given in private to those two sides to Jews, and the rest of the nations, you can figure, basically have the status of Nachri right away. And that's what Bates' 16a is saying. And this is what James Rogers was saying at the beginning of today. It's now mandated on humanity to regain and proclaim their humanity, their potential, and their identity. Now, you can say, wow, so the Jews are so privileged. No, actually they're not. Just because it was given does not make them aware of what they were given. Right? Women and men were both given gifts that they are also unaware of. The goal of life is to realize that the Ger and the Jew really are kind of a female-male composite. We both have gifts, and the Jews are not going to realize their covenant until they teach and build up this Nachri into Ger, and vice versa. The Ger are not going to realize what they have if they don't work with, because they kind of understand they have a covenant, but they can't explain why. And the Jews are unaware of their own covenant. So you see, it really takes both. There's no success without both. If I sit here and say that I don't like Gerim, but too bad for you, but I have Torah and Shabbos, then I don't even understand what Torah and Shabbos are. Because like we're saying, if you don't get Ger, I'm sorry, my friend, you don't understand a lot of Torah. Type 1. If you don't get Ger, you don't even understand Shabbos. What's the proof? Your Noahide friend comes over to your Shabbos house and you think you found a Shabbos goy. Guess what you're doing? You're breaking Shabbos. That's real good. That's real good. You're breaking Shabbos and you're proud of it. So just because you have been given a badge to proclaim that you can keep Shabbos and learn Torah does not mean you are lechachila optimally keeping Torah and keeping Shabbos. Just because you are a so-called goy does not mean you are a so-called goy. It is lowest common denominator in this kind of gross paradigm of Jews and non-Jews with derogatory terms, and the Jews have to come into their reality, and non-Jews have to realize the covenant of Ger at Sinai, and then everything balances out and equals out. Everyone is getting their potential and identity back, and the world is perfected. Tikkun Olam b'Malchus Shaddai. So it's a very potent game. It's very, look, is this not the cause of all the problems in the world? Seriously. You have this, I hate to use the derogatory terms, but it just proves what's going on. And remember, there are people out there that really think those derogatory terms are beseder and okay, and they're not. And what we're realizing is that when you learn this intimate thing, it has the ability and potential to rectify mankind. And that's how we started off class talking about that. So that's what he's saying, is that Torah comes with Shabbos. Shabbos comes with Torah. Now, you guys want to give me a 1 on that? 2? 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. We're going to do the Rambam here in a second. I'm going to finish up Pachad Yitzchak. One more, I think, thing they give in Pachad Yitzchak. Is that right? Yeah. I think so. Oh, that's why I brought that. Okay. Couldn't remember why I brought in the Ger Tzedek. I think now I know. Beitza, there it is. Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay. So now, this is another idea from Rav Hutner. It's very nice. Ready? However, all these things we say, he's going to the previous idea, whatever that is, are only relevant to the covenant of 7 laws. So there was a time period in the world where there were no such thing as Jews. There was no Sinai. You got revelation from God, because there's always been wisdom and Torah in the world. And you met, or you joined Yeshiva Shem and Aver in the metaphysical sense, and you learned about the 7 laws, and you accepted them, and you entered a covenant with God. Then Sinai came, and if you stood at Sinai, you became Jewish, not including the ger aspect and keeping it a little bit lefip shuto here, okay? And you accepted 613, and you became Jewish, and you have a covenant of Judaism. Now, we know there were gerim there, but that's not what I want to point out right here. And he says, but again, we're talking lefip shuto. But against or parallel to this covenant of 613, it was renewed at Sinai a possibility for a Ben Noach to join his covenant of 7 to the covenant of 613. Focusing on the joint covenant. That's proving there were gerim there. You understand? I wanted to be a Noahide yesterday, and today at Sinai, my Noahide covenant is now Israel covenant. Hey, did you guys ever hear there's something called the 4th house of Israel that I apparently made up and invented? Which means the 7 laws that you accept, they become stringent on you by your own desire. Now, you didn't have to do that. You could have said, I don't believe in Jesus, whatever it is, Hare Krishna, and I'm not an idolater, and I am called a Noahide, type 1. Or you can say, I have the right to be a Noahide, but for me, I would like to reject idolatry, and therefore I would like to keep Shabbos, Priestess 9a. My Noahide covenant is now part of Taryag 613 Israel covenant. It does not make me a Jew, makes me 4th house of Israel, because that's where I realize I belong. If I would have wanted to have converted, I would have called a conversion rabbi, and I would have converted. If I would have wanted to stay in Akum, I would have stayed in Akum. It really is, you go where you're destined to go. The point is, you enter that covenant. And now, what do you call that Ben Noach? What would you think you call that Ben Noach? Yeah, exactly, Jewish. What do you call that Ben Noach? What do you think Rav Hutner is going to say? Ben Noach Kizeh, a Ben Noach like this is called Ger Toshav. What a surprise. Right? You can hear a little bit of sarcasm in my voice because he's so clear in what he's saying, and yet we are told in social media platforms by 6 week smicha people that they know this by heart and that we're wrong. It's dumbfounding, isn't it? I mean, here it's just, that's why I was so glad when I redid the search, because he really is answering all of the ridiculous answers that we have coming back. Yeah, this is Pachad Yitzchak. And he's not even answering his own answer. He can't say, well, he was one rabbi. No, he's copying and pasting for you the answer. That's like saying, hey, Justin B., did the Giants win on Sunday? No, Rabbi Katz, they lost. Well, Justin B., are you what made you a new sports announcer for SportsCenter? Who are you? Rabbi Katz, I have the ability to go on Yahoo Sports and look at the score and tell you who won. Oh, so you don't have to have insider information and be a sports broadcaster? No, it's the internet now. You don't have to do that. Oh, okay. Now, this part's a little bit complicated in terms of explaining it in English. I'm going to do it quickly. If you go into moron man mode here, feel free. You can always pause and rewind in the recording on YouTube. All right, it's just a long piece. I'm just going to give it quickly, okay? So try to pay attention. And if you have to pause and record once it goes up on YouTube, please do so. And I'm going to add to this explanation. See, he's saying it's not so simple what I just said, even though it is simple, but I'm going to add to the explanation. The entire difference as explained above between the inyan of Kabbalah. Remember what Kabbalah is? It's not mysticism. It's the personal acceptance of mitzvahs and entering the covenant. Type 1. The difference between the inyan of Kabbalah and the covenant of 7 and between the inyan of the Kabbalah and the covenant of 613 is we ascribe to the beginning of these things in the time that they fell the obligation of the mitzvahs. Right? It's like when are parents obligated in taking care of their kids at the time of birth, technically. For example, Noach, in the time that it was forbidden to him limb of a living animal. And for Jews, it was at Mount Sinai. But there is another category of Kabbalah. This category of Kabbalah's mitzvahs is after the obligation came to the world, which really you could say it's like the time that the boy and girl met and conceived, and then the second time is when the baby was born. That's a spinal analogy. Behold, this avodah shekol yachim yachim kabbalah mitzvahs. There's a concept that every type of person can accept the yoke of heaven, even though that this Kabbalah was not the Iker Chiyuv. Right? It's like when little Bobby was born, the parents in the emergency room or the birth room, they looked at each other and said, honey, let's give Bobby a great life. Well, technically, honey, you already did that 9 months ago. But I understand. You're reaffirming, yes, we are going to be good parents now. Type 1 if you follow that mushal. And this one is after it already came to the world. This category of accepting the yoke of the mitzvahs is what is considered the second chapter of the reading of the Shema. Which, by the way, Rashi's commentary on the Shema says that one day the non-Jews will recognize God and they will say Shema Yisrael. And there you see Rashi understood the non-Jew of the future, type 1. And apparently that's the meaning of the Shema. L'fi pshuto. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Eloheinu, that the Jews are saying, yes, our God, we're with God. The non-Jew sees that, and he says, Hashem Echad. then it's on that day he and his name are one. Type 1. Why not? You cannot say that when you read Shema, you just caused Mount Sinai. No, you didn't. It already happened. Ve'enenu ella avoda b'nefesh. This is called the service of the soul, like the daily living soul, reaffirming, making revealed to yourself that you believe in God. Ka'asher da'ayim davin ki'im b'nogei l'kabbalah da'ha'asug arishin v'da'hayin l'kabbalah b'shas t'chilas ha'chayva d'breinu gam al kabbalah z'taryah v'gam al kabbalah z'shever af al pi she'avdol b'neyin he ta'chimis hini b'nogei l'kabbalah t'sug ha'sheni haynu b'torah v'dim b'nefesh and the Dinim says rak b'taryah. You cannot reaffirm Noahism, meaning there's no such thing as, how do you want to say this, reclaiming the Noahite tradition. Dugmas shel Kabbalah zo einano b'mitzias klal avodas Hashem mitzvos. Meaning Sinai was a second, or like when we reaffirm the yoke of heaven, that's reaffirming Sinai. There's no such thing as a Noahide who says, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Eloheinu, Hashem Echad, I am now a really serious Noahide. No, you're not. You were just as serious 5 minutes ago. But Sinai can be brought into your life when you reaffirm. You're not creating a new Sinai, you're reaffirming. Barak al-Zeb al-Maimer al-Achra l'Chag HaShavuos t'Hashta v'oifen shekol Maimer chazal medabarim al-Oidis t'Kabbalas b'nei Noach shel Zayin mitzvahs einem shayachin l'Gamrei l'Kag. Ma'achar shekulav oiskim b'Kabbalah d'Schal d'Chiyuv Masha Enki Kabbalah's all mitzvahs. The Parsha Shni and the Kriya Shema in the rock of Vada Benefesh Lachri She'etzim Achoyvehi Kvar Mitziyas La'atzma Ubanei L'Praktiyas Achilok Bein Shnei Sugei Kabbalah Hanal Nizvaro Advarim Heiti Ba'arbe Ben Maimarim B'Tikufa Achroina Elo Shadim Reitoira Aniyim B'Makom Zeh V'Yeshirim B'Makom Acher V'Drachim Al Shel Aniyim L'Tvarsam Minashir. So it would sound like only a Jew can reaffirm, correct? But you weren't paying attention to the first paragraph. A Noahide who comes with his, again, I'm using the Noahide here loosely, is covenant. I gave my declaration to God. I'm a Noahide. I love God. What you can do is, since you are not standing at Sinai today, right? We are 3,000 years beyond Sinai, type 1. What you can do is you can say the Shema, and you can attach your 7 in your covenant with the covenant of Taryag. And what does that look like practically? Rashi's Ger, Rashi's non-Jew, in the Shema, you say Shema, Rashi's non-Jew, who keeps Shabbos like Croesus 9a, and now you do not stealing like Jews, not killing like Jews, and that's not called Ben Noach anymore. That's called Ger Toshav. Ger Toshav is a loose term. We see many definitions of Ger Toshav. You can call the Ger in your gates. There are things that rabbis and tradition want to call it. What we know is it's not a Stam Ben Noach. This guy has his 7 laws or whatever mitzvahs he does, and it is Din Yisrael or Din Sinai. How do you feel about that? How are you guys feeling about that? It's pretty good stuff, isn't it? I think it's good stuff. All right, so now I'm going to get rid of this book. We did that. Now I'm going to show you a little digression. And let's now look at this. You know what's missing from people? They don't have the ikr or the inyan. Mostly the inyan. They're missing the inyan. You know what I mean by they're missing the inyan? How many of you have ever heard of something called an inside joke? Anybody ever heard of this thing called an inside joke? Why doesn't the guy laugh at the inside joke? Why didn't he get the joke? Because he had to be there. You don't know the Indian, right? He doesn't know the Indian. Like, why is she laughing at a sign that says, "Welcome to Bob's"? That's not funny. It is funny. You weren't there. What do you mean? How could that be funny? Well, we were at this guy's. Long story. You don't know the Indian, type 1. You don't know the Indian, type 1. And this is like literally the number one problem in the whole world. I mean, look, with Trump in the election, right? They're saying, oh, Trump supported the subprime mortgage crisis. Boo! Every business person in the world bought property when the subprime mortgage crisis hit rock bottom. It's called buy low, sell high, right? Everybody bought tons of property. And Hillary Clinton's like, well, he supported that. Everybody supports it. It's called the economy. Your husband made a declaration. It's called the economy, stupid. So what is she trying to manipulate? That people don't understand the Indian. It just sounds bad. Oh, he supported subprime. Ooh. This is where every conspiracy theory comes from. So in Torah, it's no different. So when we read the mitzvah to love the ger, how many times have we been told love the ger is only love the convert? Is that right? And they're going to quote the Rambam, and Rambam says it's ger tzedek, and we are told ger tzedek is a convert. David Katz is wrong, right? Now, I'll throw you a bone. It does say ger tzedek in the Rambam, okay? And I'll throw you another bone. When the Rambam says ger tzedek, he means a convert. How do you like me now? So it's very hard to show you how it's read the wrong way, but we don't need to explain the wrong way because everyone tells us every day the wrong way. Right? Let me now tell you how to read it the right way. And how do I know how to read it the right way? Because we know the Indian. Remember we did a couple weeks ago, don't taunt the ger? We know the Indian. Listen here. Mitzvah number 207, we are commanded to love the gerim. Type 1, for the sake of typing 1. All it says is love the gerim. Right? Now, right now, we don't know what a ger is. We have no idea. Does he mean all gerim, convert gerim, non-convert gerim? And God says in Parshas Ekev, you will love the ger. Well, I don't know what a ger is. Type 1 for that. I don't know what a ger is. I don't know. I need you to tell me. I just know there's a thing called ger, and I don't really know if it's Jewish or not. And even though that he should be included in this with Israel, that it says you will love your neighbor like yourself. Lefi shezeh hager ger tzedek. Did you cop that? You would think a convert ger, you are to love him because he's a Jew, and the Jew has a commandment, love your neighbor like yourself. Therefore, by definition, I love you like me. I'm Jewish. You must be Jewish. You're a convert, and that ger convert is called ger tzedek. Type 1. But in the case where one enters into our Torah, God has added for him a unique love and an additional mitzvah, just like we made warning in ripping people off. As it says, don't rip off a man. A man should not rip off his neighbor. You translate that. And it says, in a ger, you will not rip off. The ger lo sonnet. Now, didn't we prove that the ger taunting works for a convert, but more specifically a ger toshav? Didn't we say that? Type 1. So we know that don't taunt the ger is a ger toshav, at least. It makes more sense that it's a non-Jew. And Rambam is proving love the ger with don't taunt the ger. And the Gemara says in Bava Metzia 59b, didn't we do a long bit in Bava Metzia 59b? You are obligated to not rip off the ger because lo sona ish es amiso, don't rip off the man, should not rip off his neighbor, and because a ger you will not rip off. Thus also Cain, we are obligated in his love because you will love your neighbor like yourself and because you will love the ger. And this explains there's no doubt, and no one says it differently, and most Midrashim explain that God brought up the commandment on the ger because God commands on himself, and he commands as he is himself, and you will in God as you will love Hashem your God, and you will love the ger. That's how you read the Rambam. Love the ger. Yes, we are to love converts, correct. That can be included in love your neighbor like yourself. What if it's not my neighbor myself? What if it's a non-Jewish ger and I should be careful not to rip him off? Well, why would I think to rip him off? I have another mitzvah, love him. Is that clear? 1 or 2? Isn't that something? Isn't that something? I don't understand. They want to make it hard. They want to make it confusing. They want to make machlokes. The Torah is very clear. Now, we're going to read that commentary on Taisus. And I got to find it. There it is. Right? Parshas Jethro, chapter 20, verse 10. The ger, you got to arrest him. Now pay attention. This is another, you got to know the Indian to know the Indian. You got the Indian? Don't do any work. The gercha, right? It says, and your ger in your gate, type 1. Rashi and the Mechilta say this is ger tzedek. Okay, fine. You got me. Sheger toishav eino noyach rak oisei l'ksi laman yanuach shorcha v'chumar. He's saying that the ger toshav is mishpatim 23:12, like we've been saying. Nothing new. Now pay attention. Pay attention. Ve'im taimar, and if you say, surely Yisrael gamorhu, he is completely Israel. Shahari kibel alav kol mitzvahs, he accepted on himself all the mitzvahs. Everybody's going to read that as a convert, correct? But didn't we just read Rav Hutner? Doesn't a Ben Noach upgrading the ger toshav accept the 613 of Sinai as like as the what do you call it? I don't know what you call that. The thing to plug your 7 into. Let's call it that. No one said you're observing all 613, but you cannot upgrade your 7 if you deny the essence of Sinai. Does anyone in this room deny 613? Are you going to tell me that your 7 are actually it and my 613 never happened and that yours, I mean, are you saying, yeah, there is such a thing as Sinai 613 and my 7 are a part of that 613? What's the problem? Now, didn't we say that the Ger Toshav, he has Din Yisrael, fourth house of Israel? And without bringing the book off the shelf, Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, one of our good friends with Alan Cecil, I like to quote Alan Cecil. He tells me all of the Noahide cards. He says on the same verse, Ger Cha, your Ger, Ger Tzedek, sounds like a convert. It isn't. He calls it a Nilva Ger. Isaiah 56:3. What does it mean? This non-Jew is Nilva. Ger Tzedek, it means Nilva. He is saying, I am fourth house of Israel, and you're not going to tell me any different. No one's calling him a Jew. Yesh laimar desaka datagamina hoyel mitzvah Shabbos chaviva hi el garsh baruch hu shakara o shalodi yeno hagas elabi Yisrael gamor shahorav sova lirav sova kedusha tzricha. You want to hear the difference between a Nilva Ger and a convert Ger? You guys want to know? A Nilva Ger says that he's Yisrael Gamor. I'm attached to Israel. I'm fourth house Israel. I know it sounds goofy and messianic and things, but it's not. A convert is called an ethnic Jew. See the difference? Big difference. The Ger remains a bit of a stranger. He's saying, I'm attached to Israel, but I don't want to go to synagogue. I live out in the woods. I don't live in Brooklyn. I'm not that Jewish. I'm Jewish, I'm all these things, but honestly, you don't want to eat at my house. I don't know about hechshers. Don't marry my daughter. Type 1. The convert says, I am so into this thing by mazel allowances, and I'm from Brooklyn. My first girlfriend was Jewish. I love gefilte fish. I wanted to oven in a minion. I am so Ger that I'm actually a native Jew now. A convert becomes a native Jew. Is that not true? Do we not say you can marry our daughters when you are a convert? Do we not say, come on in, and it's a big sin if I look at you like you're a Ger? I can't take a convert and say, well, you're a Ger. The Ger says, I know I'm a Ger. I eat nevela. What do you want from me? What are you trying to tell me? I'm not Jewish. I eat nevela. But a convert? That's it. The convert is native. So the Havamina is, I thought Shabbos was only for people Jewish and native. Kamash Milan, Creases 9a. There's something called Ger, or Yisrael Gamor, Nilva Ger, and there's something called Ger Gamor. A Yisrael Gamor Ger is not the same as Ger Gamor. Gamor means total. This guy is so Ger, he's not even Ger. You see what I'm saying? It's like you reach that point where you're so into it, you're something else. The Ger non-Jew, there's enough of a space that he's not totally it. And it's a personal choice. How do you feel about mashed potatoes? I don't know. I like them. I don't know if it's going to be the first thing on the menu I'm going to order. How many of you guys have a thing that you order every time if you go to a certain place? Every time, right? I go to a pizza shop, I'm getting my mushrooms and onions every time. Do I like corn on my pizza or a hot pepper? Yeah. Not going to say no. I might even get it once or twice. Everybody has passions in this world. Here's a real thing that's going to make you the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Ready? There's such a thing as a ger who's more into God than Judaism. Can you imagine that? He's more interested in Torah and Israel and God, the ger non-convert, than the convert who really is interested in Jews and being Jewish. And you know what? It's okay. It's really okay. It's okay. You can love Judaism and be a Jew. And you can also, guess what? Love God and be a God-fearer. You can. That's what people are not promoting. It's okay to love and believe and worship and be devoted to God. That's called Isaiah 56:3, fourth house of Israel. I'm with you guys whether you like it or not. The other guy says, I'm not with you guys, I am you guys. Okay. Pass the gefilte fish. I see no difference between me and you. So I'm going to treat you like one of my own. We know that Isaiah and Ezekiel had this relationship with God. Isaiah was like the ger non-Jew, right? He talked to God like an employee. But the Ezekiel was just like God's like friend in terms of the prophecy, right? So Ezekiel was actually on a lower level, so to speak, than Isaiah. You understand the analogy? Ezekiel received his prophecy like God at the end of the night telling it over to Ezekiel, whereas Isaiah was, more, proper. The convert, he doesn't need to make a good impression. He's just a Jew. That's his choice. Whereas the ger, he treats it different. He treats it with a bit of professionalism. To each his own. To each his own. So now we're going to say, what is the difference between a ger toishev and a ben noach? The ger toishev is called by the fact, before based in that he doesn't serve idols, and he still eats the vela. And a ben noach is commanded and stands, and Akash Baruch Hu took it from them, as it says in Avodah Zarah, and he is not receiving reward like one who is commanded in doing. So there's the Nachri who says, I have nothing to do with Israel. That's a definition of Nachri. I have nothing to do with Israel. Maybe I won't even want to buy your meat. The Ben Noach, Noahide, he says, I believe in God, I don't do idols, but I'm not commanded in doing. The ger toishev says, I want to be commanded in doing. The ger tzedek non-Jew, the Nilva ger, he's just, you can't get rid of this guy. He's with you. He's with you. He may not even eat nevela. He's just, but for his own reason, he is not Jewish. He doesn't want to convert. Again, he has, the only reason why you don't understand it is because you don't know his personal inyan. Type 1 on that one. And then there's a ger gamor, a guy who finished ger. He wants to be a Jew. That's his conclusion. I'm best, it's personal stuff. I don't ever want to eat non-kosher again. I want to marry someone Jewish and have a Jewish child. I want to live in Brooklyn in the community and daven in shul. Whereas the other guy says, I'm a bigger help to do mitzvahs that Jews can't do, eating the vela. You find your place. Everyone finds their place. It's not a pyramid or a ranking contest. You fit in where you fit in. Remember, if the convert wants to make a thing, it's better to be a Jew, and now I'm a Jew. Well, guess what? You're still not a Cohen. How do you like me now? That's the card that Cohen holds for people that want to hold a pyramid scheme, right? I know I use that out of context, but that's how I'm using it. Right? I'm Jewish, and it's good to be Jewish. Well, good, I'm a Kohen. How do you like me now? How do you like me now? I'm a Kohen. And the thing is, the Kohanim don't use that card. We don't say, well, it's good to be a Cohen because I'm holier than you. No one says that. No Cohen ever said that. Ever. So then why are other people saying it? It's ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. All right, I think we're actually going to wrap this thing up here in about a minute here. So now we learned in Rav Hutner that if Shabbos was given in private, and Shabbos and Torah are two sides of the same coin, type 1. We can now understand the Rambam pretty good, Hilchos Malachim 10:9 and 10:10. What are the two things that the Goy can't do? Learn Torah and keep Shabbos. What are the two things missing, so to speak? Torah and Shabbos. So then the Rambam says in the next halacha, a ben noyach can do the rest of the mitzvahs. What is assuming, for the naysayers out there, he cannot do Shabbos and Torah. So let's assume that's true. It's a specific omission of Shabbos and Torah. Okay. Now we did the Rambam. Let's go back to Beitza and read the commentaries on. Now that it's almost like saying if you can't do Shabbos and Torah, then you must remain a Nachri. Lefim Shuto, type 1. Type 1, Lefim Shuto. So now we've established our exile mentality, right? It's all, the Ben Noach at best, but don't do Shabbos. This is where we're at with the party lines, right? Ben Noach, you can give tzedakah, don't give Shabbos and Torah. It's the same thing. Now what we're saying is, back to James Rogers, there's an Indian to reclaim your potential. Stop being a Shabbos Goy. Yes, Shabbos was given in private. Your job, in the Jewish job, and working together, is to elevate Nachri, out of Ben Noach, into at least Ger Toshav. Get that covenant of Sinai going. If you want to go into Ger Tzedek or Ger Gomor, that's up to you. But let's at least get the bar raised to where we're all holding by Sinai. Is that not the goal? Now, Alan Cecil will argue that the goal is to remain Noahide, not commanded in doing, no Sinai, no mitzvahs, no Torah, no Shabbos. And it's okay to be a Shabbos Goy and not reach your identity and potential. What do you think about that? And you have to overthrow the government with some kind of radical terrorist group. I saw that. The Sanhedrin is doing that. The Sanhedrin is not accepted by Jews, really. But maybe God is accepting it. Wouldn't that be nice? I thought about that also. So you have the party liners that will take this at face value. But we know by going full circle, there's no Indian of staying at face value and not growing. I.e., the condition of Nachri, Shabbos, and Torah is not meant to be static. Ever. It's like being a baby. Okay, we all grew up, didn't we? We all had to learn how to walk and learn how to get dressed and learn how to eat. So that's where we're at. The Jews were given, let's say, the seeds. The non-Jews were given the water. Now we got to come together, and the Jews got to learn the depths of Torah and Shabbos, and then the Nachri will grow into the Ger and onward, and also know what Shabbos and Torah is. Exactly. Don't waste your potential. Now let's read the commentary on this. We got the Marshaw. Let's see here. Hold on. Yeah, do the Marshaw. No, when's the Marshaw last? So let's do the Maram Schiff. Ready? Everyone's asking the big question. What, are you serious? A non-Jew can keep Shabbos? Hear the question? Are you serious? A non-Jew can keep Shabbos? Hear the question? In the Marshal, Hekshev Yeshiva Manal, the Einish Shabbos Kai Dilma. Shabbos the B'tzniya lo yanish Allah v'teretz the im kain lo yanish al shara Torah shiachulu loimer almala nasas lanu yoyim menucha hano gam ki makablin hu derech drush. The Havamina is if the non-Jews say that they have Shabbos, then they'll say that they're basically on the same level as Jews. And when I say the same level as Jews, it means there's no need for the Jews. You go your way, we go our way. And what we're learning is that not only can the non-Jews not say that, but the Jews need ger as well. And that's where my personal mission comes in this world. And why people don't get that for the life of me, I can't figure out. I cannot figure out what is so hard to realize that both ger and Jew need each other for this thing to work and repair the world. It's just a pella that no one gets that. The Matar, it's the Ben Noyek Shishima Shabbos Chayav Misa. So I go to keep Shabbos is Chayav Misa, type 1. And it's only when he intends to keep Shabbos like a Jew and, forget the Jews. There's no Jews. That's when he's Chayav Misa. Like it's written in the Rambam. Then you say that's what the Rambam said. Amai ha lo yadu. But how would he ever do that? How in the world would he keep Shabbos like a Jew if he doesn't even know how to keep Shabbos like a Jew? But okay, today on Wikipedia, you can read about Shabbos. So maybe there's a reason. I'll say Shabbos is Iron Shabbos in Hedron. The Gemara Amar Ravina Mehedia Filo Shani B'Shabbos. There's Rashi. The Ratzalaymer Shalom Taima Shvi Sidakama. Ratzalaymer Hashem Chayva. Amar the Loda came under the Shabbos L'Shvus. Kagam B'Shabbos Shehu Yom Shvi Sil Yisrael. Ela Menucha Ba'alma Ka'asr Lahu. So L'Shem Chayva Kamar the Lo Yiskam L'Shvus Kagam the Shabbos B'Shabbos Shehu Yom Shvi Sil Yisrael. Ela Menucha Ba'alma Ka'asr Lahu. The time of Mishum Shnemer Lo Yishvusu. Okay. So, you didn't do Shabbos like a Jew. But what you wanted to do was no malacha. You're going to be like a, what do you call those people again? And, what do you call it? The Amish. You're going to become Amish. Right? You're going to basically not do Shabbos exactly like a Jew, but you're going to be like an Amish. You're not going to write. You're not going to use electricity. You're not going to cook. And you can't do that either. Why? Because there's the prohibition is to not stop work. Now, this is where the perverted party lines get it wrong. They're saying the Noahide, the non-Jew, has no Shabbos because he can't stop working. You are to be slaves 24/7 till you die. Right? No. That's not what work means. Hello, Boker Tov. Work means creative labor like a Jew, which means the non-Jews are not to stop creative labor. You know what an example of creative labor is? On Shabbos, when a Jew eats a salad, he cannot pick the corn out of his salad. It's called separating. Do you really want Jews doing those kind of fidgety things on Shabbos? Separating their sock collection and picking the corn out of their salad and arranging their closet. Is that really Shabbos-tic for a Jew, honestly, when you envision the covenant to be? At the same time, do you want to be picking the corn out of your salad? Or not picking the corn out of your salad? You understand? Is that what you want to be concerned about? Is that how you consider your rest day? Well, I'm not picking the corn out of my salad. I'm keeping Shabbos. Is that what you consider Shabbos, honestly? Well, I'm not going to arrange my sock collection today because I don't do it on Shabbos. Is that really what you're looking forward to doing? It's like male-female. It's just different desires, different jobs. And all he's saying is, don't try to mimic Jews. It's not what you're meant to do. Your day is to keep Shabbos and rest and not serve idols and connect to God and talk to God and learn Torah all day and love God. And that's what it's Shabbos. Okay. The li near the im hachi lo yehi lenachri oini shel shmir Shabbos the ain't mitzvah light. So what we're saying is there's no possibility for even a nachri to be punished for keeping Shabbos. The im ken, you hear that? That means the nachri is keeping Shabbos. You caught that? Type 1. The nachri is keeping Shabbos. And again, it's Rashi, Shita, it's the whole thing. However, a ger that accepts all the mitzvahs is not obligated to keep Shabbos. Did you hear that? Now, they're going to say it's a convert, aren't they? Are they going to say it's a convert? The ger is a convert. He accepted all the mitzvahs. Type 1, it's a convert. Type 1, it's a convert. Type 1, it's a convert. And it says he is not obligated to keep Shabbos. And he has to break Shabbos because he's not commanded on it like a Jew. Whoa! Because it's not a convert. It's not a convert. There's something called a ger that's not a convert. And I have a commentary here that I printed out. And guess what he says? How can it be that a ger accepts all the commandments and he breaks Shabbos? Mevoyer, it's explained that even after Geruso, he became a ger. He is still shaykh on him to be called a ben Noach. Well, I guess Rabbi Katz isn't so crazy after all. Look at that. And that's the ger tzedek, non-Jew, the nilva ger. Sound familiar, Tosfos? What do you think about that, guys? Sound familiar? How do you think about that? Tell me, is ger not a perfect system in terms of working out rabbinically? Is it not a perfect system? Now, it's a bit of a rough system to find a spiritual path in the words of the rabbis, unless you understand the language, and I understand that. But when you work it out, is it not a perfect system? Meaning, the whole confusion thing, you got to convert, I want to convert. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, where we got out of this whole discussion was where Chaim, my dear co-author, said to me that this concept of keeping Shabbos, like the Shami Yisera, makes no sense, so that's why we keep it. And I said to Chaim, I guarantee you it's Lafi Pshuto. Ready for this? We're going to end the series right here. Ready? We did the whole thing. Ready? This is the Marsha commentary. Quoting again the Gemara, Beitza 16a, a goy is not punished for not keeping Shabbos. Commentator Rashi, we find that Hashem went back and gave the Torah and the mitzvahs. So, therefore, how would we punish an Akum on Shabbos if they don't keep it? We say that a goy is Chayav Misa. You hear us how it's always the same questions? You see how the ger works? It's always the same sources. It's always the same questions. It's always the same conclusions. All there is more sources coupled together to make more wisdom and more creative answers by the classic sources to shed more light on the world, which I call lightinations. Type 1. So how do we not kill this goy who kept Shabbos? The opposite. The Ha-kasha kevon, the mitzvah Shabbos, lo hodinu, lo leinish, lo dechoyim, alea im yechvohu da v'ha, vadai misvara im anachri, Shabbos shalo shem mitzvah, ein achai misa. The same answer as the Maram Shift that we did. He is not doing it in the name of keeping Shabbos like a Jew. Therefore, he didn't do any crime. And it taught that vadai, certainly in mitzvah Shabbos, he does know about it. And therefore, if a goy does not keep Shabbos, or he is chayiv, wait. The vadai mitzvah Shabbos adinahu. Therefore, oivdei chayivim chayiv misa. Ela One second. Shani the Vade Mitzvah Shabbos. So, but if he did keep it like a Jew, and he knows about it like a Jew, then he would be obligated to die. But rather the Matan Schara, he doesn't know the reward of Shabbos of Olam Haba. That he doesn't know. So there you see, even if he tries keeping it like a Jew, he doesn't really know how to keep it like a Jew because he doesn't know the reward. And therefore, how does one become more Ger and more Shabbos? By more delving into Shabbos and more searching for the reward, he will discover the reward, discover the Shabbos, and all the while not be found guilty. In fact, if he doesn't search out Shabbos and seek Shabbos, he is guilty for idolatry. How do you like me now? Type 1. And the idea of Shabbos in the world to come is a matter of the secrets and the hidden treasures and the much goodness for the tzaddikim of the world to come. Don't we say that the whole thing, James Gosnelism, right, is about being commanded and doing and knowing the reward? And what is the reward? Isn't that James Gosnell's entire mission? Please tell him I said this, and I'll tell him personally, right? We've all seen it. Because James is on to the truth, and he's got it. The essence of Ger is a relentless passion to solve the riddle, what is reward? You caught that? Yes, you're clear to James Gosnell is all I can say. He's on it. The more Ger you go, the more Shabbos you go. It's a relentless passion to discover the reward. So let me ask you a question. Is it better to convert and just be given the answer, or is it better to be in a passionate love affair with God and live your life discovering the answer? It's a great question, isn't it? I think it's fantastic. Some people don't want it hard. Just tell me the answer. Some people say it's the journey. It's the passion of it. To each his own. And as it says, I am Hashem, I'm going to sanctify the Shabbos, word of the Kavod, Shabbos, you okay. Now, but some say that non-Jews do know the reward. Right? Let's say James Gosnell will discover the reward. So now, if James keeps Shabbos, we have to kill James. Type 1. We're going to kill James. God forbid. Right? But wait a minute. The Gemara said, they still don't know the Neshama Yisera. Oh. So now you're on a constant mission like James Rogers. What is my potential? And that is the true program. Nobody knows their soul root. The Ger is passionate for God. If the Ger can stay at that level, he will never know his full potential. He will live a life trying to get there, and he will experience the heights of heights because he went for it. And he will receive God. Moses didn't get perfected. That's the joy of trying to be perfect when you can't be perfect. God is asking for the Mesiras Nefesh, the sacrifice. Just passion for God, love God. Again, the convert, I know what I am. I'm a Jew. Okay. Yeah, sure, Koyach. How do you feel about that, right? You're a Jew now. You got it. It came with no effort. Easy as cake. 1, 2, 3. Judaism in 5 minutes. Asher Mesa. But what is that soul worth? What is that soul worth? Okay, maybe some great people converted. Fine. But a lot of people? A lot of them? No. So who is Ger for? This path that we've laid down in these last 2 classes. So then the proof of the Neshama Yisera is the verse of Shabbos. Let me see the verse where it's at. And it's a sign between me and the children of Israel, an eternal sign. 6 days God worked, and then he created the heavens and earth. On the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. That's where they learn the Neshama Yisera, the extra soul. And that is the secret of Shabbos. And that's where Chaim says, I don't buy it. You want to tell me that that's what Shabbos is? The knowledge of the Neshama Yisera? And I said, well, Chaim, I bet you it's Lefim Pshuto. What do you think the Marsha says? The very next words. What do you think the Marsha says? Lefi Pshuto. Chaim was right. It is Lefi Pshuto. And here we go. This entire discussion is Lefi Pshuto. Rabbinic reality of explaining in rabbinic terms the path from Nachri through Ger. That on the seventh day God rested, but the double language of Shabbos and Vayinafash, he was refreshed, is a drasha, an allegory of Shabbos and resting, that on the faces of the Bnei Yisrael, that since they rested, and this is what the Gemara explains, right? The Gemara explains the very next thing about Lefim Pshuto. It's a linguistic thing. The word Vayinafash has an extra Vav and Yud, and when they're done resting, the Vav and the Yud go away, and the Vav is the sixth day, and the Yud is the wisdom and the soul that came down. It's a Lefim Pshuto drasha. And it is a chiddush of the what real Shabbos is, he says, which is the secret of the Kabbalah and the Mekubalim and the Neshama Yisera, is the chiddush ha'olam. It's either you can say it's the world renewing itself, or it is the capital T-H-E chiddush of the world, or the eternal chiddush. And those that watched my class of the wall last night saw what is Simcha, the Chiddush. What is Gila, the non-Chiddush. And I'm going to close on this note because this is really profound, I'm about to say. The Jew keeps Shabbos all the time. And when he does tshuva, he gets the Chiddush. So he has the Neshama Yisera, and he has the ability of Ger wisdom. The Ger can either choose to convert and just keep Shabbos status quo, or by constantly making a Chiddush, every Shabbos higher and better than the previous one. That's the secret of the Neshama Yisera. He gets the Neshama Yisera, but next week he redefines it. Is that not how we understand Ger? Every day we understand Ger, and we dig deeper and re-understand it. So do the Ger have a Neshama Yisera? Yeah. Can they claim to fully understand it? No. Is that a problem? No. I think at this point it's self-explanatory. Yasher Koyach, we went through it. We're not meeting, I guess. Or no, we are. I think we do next time. It's the wall class we don't do because Yom Kippur. So stay tuned for changes of times due to the holidays, if there are any. I haven't looked far enough to know if there are any, but we'll see. I hope this was enlightening to you guys. I think we have solved the Shabbos issue by now, one or two. The Torah issue by now, one or two. Ger issues by now, one or two. And live long and prosper.